folks, we're on a Two Wheels Better Works outing. We've come here to Nivelles in Belgium.
Hey up.
And
Yeah, right.
hey up, Paul, how are you doing, mate? I've got my helmet on. That we're gonna make these things.
What, one of them?
Well, we're gonna make some helmets.
I've got
a helmet
nice,
factory.
I've got a fancy one.
How is it? How come you've got a proper helmet and I look like this?
Well, I was here first. I've got a much faster taxi than you, so I mean.
You get on my nerves, you get the best of everything. Get
what will
lost,
I
go
do?
out my way. In fact, I've got the job sorted anyway. I know somebody. Just give us a bit of room. I got my friend over here, you see.
Wayne, bienvenue à les airs.
I'm going to impress you now because I've been practicing French now for the last 4 weeks. Hello, Andy, how are you? Thank you. Would you please take me around the factory?
Sure, Wayne, I'll be delighted. Follow me.
Thank you.
Well, basically this factory is situated approximately 20 miles south of Brussels in a village in a city called Nivelles, and its labour force is 110 persons. We actually manufacture the shells, which I know you're keen to see, in a separate site, and they are duly delivered here, and we end up with this.
Well, I've seen these around as I've been walking around, and I thought to myself, do they grow on trees or something? Because I haven't noticed them being made. So you tell me these are made elsewhere then?
Yes, these are made in our separate site and manufactured from an injection moulding material which we call iMac.
iMac? As in the stuff you stick on your legs to get rid of the hair?
Not quite, Wayne, no. iMac we utilise is impact modified alloy composite, a high-tech material from the space age world of Dutch chemical giant DSM.
Right. Now then, clear a myth, Andy. Tell the world about this split helmet lark. They don't split, they're not made in two halves, are they?
No. The injection moulding machine, when it separates to remove the shell, actually sometimes leaves a slight trace of a visible line. On some of the higher-end Highline models, we will actually buff this and remove it from the site, but it does unfortunately lead to the impression from some people that they are manufactured in two halves and glued together, which obviously they're not.
And this is the case with every other manufacturer as
Every
well,
other
isn't it?
manufacturer, sure.
Yeah. Well, that's cleared a little myth. What now? I mean, this is ugly, it's horrible. Opaque coloured. How do we get something pretty out of that?
Right, well, what we've got to do now is we've got to take this and turn it into, for the first stage, this.
And we'll do we made earlier, as they say.
Exactly, yes. And what we're going to do here is we're going to take it along to our painting machine. And as you can see, this area of the factory is quite a busy area, and the painting process from start to finish will actually take around 40 minutes. Approximately 1,500 helmets a day are passing through this area, and the helmets are actually passing through with an electric force field around them of 66,000 volts to give that extra nice shine. And once this process is completed, we can go through to the decaling department. This is a real hive of activity. As you can see, the helmets come through from the painting department, and it's now got to go into the in-depth ink transfer system. That's quite a lengthy process, and individual helmets can take anything from between 7 and 15 or 20 minutes even on a new brand of or new style of decal. And the process is very much similar to the old Airfix type kit where you actually water decal, slide it onto the helmet, but the big difference here is that after 24 hours the outer lining or the outer layer of the decal is actually removed, so all you actually get left on the helmet is the ink, hence ink transfer system.
I've got it, I understand that bit. Everybody sort of has a preconceived idea that helmets are spray painted, like airbrushed or whatever. Right. Is this a relatively new concept then, this?
It's been around about 2 years now, but you'd find that the consistency and the lack of consistency relating to airbrushing would just give you an absolute nightmare when it comes to painting, and of course the delay in which it would incur would be unprofitable, and the helmet cost would be just far too high.
Because I noticed that a lot of the helmets really are not a lot more money for a decaled version than a plain version.
No.
What happens to them once the transfer's dried and they've taken that top layer off? What happens then? It's not shiny, is it then?
No, it's not. So that, of course, it then has to go back into the paint line, 66,000 volts, another 45 minutes, and it gets lacquered.
And it's nice and shiny.
Yeah.
These girls look sort of very proficient at it. They just seem to slap it on, light it in, cut it, the job's a good one. Is it easy peasy, this?
I don't think so.
You know what I'm aiming at? You know what I'm aiming at? I want to go.
You want to go?
Can I ever go?
Wayne, off you go.
Leave it to me.
You know, you wouldn't believe how many bits and pieces there are in a helmet. There are boxes of straps, buckles, fasteners, bits of this, bits of that. Andy, has he made a complete mess of that helmet, Wayne?
Oh, Paul, words fail me.
Fail me all the time as well with him. I've got some buckles, well, fasteners,
Right.
strap fasteners here. We've got lots of different types. I mean, why do we have loads of different types?
Well, different countries have different requirements. This, for example, is for some of the European countries. This one in your hand here is totally plastic and is used on our watercraft helmets, jet ski, for example.
Right.
And this model here is the one that's more commonly used in the UK. And as you can see, it's
Oh, right.
quick
appropriate.
quick ejection system. Got to be careful there.
I'm glad you said that. I'm not moving. Right. So, I mean, we've got bins of all sorts of stuff here. There are bits of polystyrene. There are girls with glue guns and bits of tape and God knows what. But it's all very carefully controlled, this, isn't it? It looks, well, I mean, to me it looks disorganised. How do they know what's going on? But you can know where every part is, do you? All the time?
All the time, as you've seen. And each station there is a monitoring terminal which is connected to the mainframe computer. That after every stage of process walking through the factory, you'll notice that the ladies are punching in a sequence of numbers. That tells the computer at which stage that particular helmet is, and prior to going to the next stage it then allocates the barcode, which eventually you will see on the external box in the shop.
Right. So I mean, so as soon as it arrives in here, you can keep track of any one helmet, couldn't you?
Absolutely, and of course this is a prerequisite for batch testing and for BSI, so that if ever there is a problem down the line, maybe 1, 2, 3 years with a helmet, God forbid, we can then track back exactly the day it was produced and even the person who produced it.
So Andy, what's this lady? She's very, very busy here, but you know, I'm sorry, but I mean, we're in the 1990s, this is flipping sellotape. What's going on here?
Well, yes, I must admit it does look like sellotape, but this ain't no ordinary sellotape, Paul.
not?
Just trying to get a hold of that now. If you just put it between your finger and thumb, and if I just squeeze gently there, in around about 14 hours, that is permanent.
Oh, is it?
Albeit, the only purpose for the sellotape at this point is to hold the actual cloth components onto the actual lining, the polystyrene lining, prior to it being inserted into the shell.
Right.
So it's merely a transient manoeuvre whilst it's awaiting the
So
insertion.
it's not sellotape?
It's not sellotape.
It's flipping, isn't it? I can't get it off now. Right, so Andy, these are the bins that I mentioned with bits of helmets going around in them. What's this?
Okay, this is where all the final components of the helmet.
Oh, flipping it, now is trouble. You've ruined that flipping helmet, he told me.
Hey, masterful. I'm an artist.
Right, well,
Some nature.
well, you've been poncing around in there. I've been busy in here. Look, assembling all my bits. So, right, sorry Andy, before he interrupted there.
Okay, this is where all the final components of all the helmets will all come together.
Right.
It's where the barcode and the label, which we mentioned earlier on, is allocated and fixed onto the side of the helmet, which eventually, as you know, will pass on to the box which you see in your shop. Okay. The shells are placed in with all the components, all the individual components that will eventually make up the helmet.
Yeah, they've got all the little plastic
All the
bits
little,
in there now.
all the little clips, the moles,
Yeah.
the chin guard, everything. And then finally, the lady will pass down here and she'll put the liners in.
So we've seen the helmets being produced from stage 1 right the way through to the final stage, stuck in a box. Then they come here, a distribution warehouse, which isn't exactly on the same area, is it? We're up the road.
Yeah, we're about 2 kilometres up the road from the main factory unit, and this is our purpose-built 20,000 square foot warehouse, purposely built for the direct distribution of helmets, i.e. the French market, of course the Belgian market and the UK.
There's thousands. I mean, we've been walking up and down the aisles and getting lost. It's like a maze. How many do you keep in here?
Well, the current count is 34,000, with approximately 7,000 for the UK market alone.
And that'll be obviously why if I order a black in a certain size or the wolf style in a certain size, I always get it. There's no problem. Are there occasions where there are hiccups?
Well, of course, it's down to us with the crystal ball. We have it pretty tight. It's 6 weeks lead time from you saying today, OK, how many helmets do you need, Andy? And I say, right, we need another 400 of that particular model. It's 6 weeks until the factory produces, which means I've got to have enough stock to supply that 6 week demand. Hopefully we get it right. Sometimes we might get it wrong, but we've been pretty good so far.
As I've been looking round and going up and down the aisles and getting lost, I also noticed the cage over here. What on earth's that cage for? Have you got a Rottweiler or something?
No, not quite. I mean, the cage, as you're quite aware, when we send helmets to your shop, within 48 hours the helmet's arriving in the shop. Within the Greater London area, they're arriving within 24 hours. That's facilitated by the cage, which allows us basically to place helmets into this system. And at any time during the evening, maybe 7, 8 o'clock, the courier can come along this truck, access the cage only, and leaves all this area totally safe.
Got you. Well, can we go and have a look at it?
Yeah, please. Have a look. Bloody journalists.
Hey, hang on, Andy! Oh, please let me out. I can't get out. I'm in Belgium, I've nowhere to go.
As we've seen, helmet manufacture requires the use of many different skills and components. Indeed, it's a high-tech, serious business. And next time, we'll be in the laboratory, taking a look at the rigorous impact test which they have to go through. But first, here's some less serious bits that you really weren't meant to see.
On a serious note, Belgium are trendsetters, and in the UK, body piercing. Can you keep the camera still, please? Body piercing is a new trend with motorcyclists. In Belgium, they've gone a stage further. Yeah. It's killing me now. Body piercing. Body piercing is a new trend.
Right, I'm going for this now, right. Don't laugh, Paul.
Body piercing.
Next on Two Wheels, Jeff Stones and those people from MCN taking bikes to the limit.
Well, we're at Bruntingthorpe. It started to rain, unfortunately, but we're going to do some speed testing. And I've got with me Howard Boylan, who does the 35mm still stuff. Howard, that's an impressive lens you've got in your arms there.
Yeah, it's a 500mm f4.5 lens made by Canon, and it's fitted with ultrasonic motors which do all the focusing for you.
Ah, so this is the trick, is it? This is the trick of keeping riders in focus? And
No, they actually drive the focusing ring,
yeah,
and you have to actually manually turn the ring with your fingers, but it's ultrasonic motors that turn it.
Oh, it still needs a driver to it all then.
You do need to be there, yeah.
Tell me, when you're doing static shots like this, speed standing quarter miles, that's somewhat more straightforward than circuit work, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you have controlled conditions. You know what the bikes are going to do. You know the riders. You know what they're capable of, and yeah, basically, you know what's going to happen and when it's going to happen,
and just where they're going to be, hopefully.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tell me, if you're doing Grand Prix stuff, it's probably very difficult to say, but how many films would you get through on a typical Grand Prix? Because you guys just seem to be shooting away all the time. Yeah,
well, Grand Prix just comes round, to Britain certainly just once a year, so we need to bang away on stock for ourselves on that. So we'll shoot almost every rider in all three classes, and 30 or 40 rolls not uncommon for the weekend.
So you've got a hell of a lot of sorting out then when you get back from the race.
Absolutely, it's whizzed back from the Grand Prix into the dark room, and you'll be there till very early hours in the morning, still processing, still picking out pictures from it. Yeah, big weekend.
So when we see you guys looking all very glamorous with the press passes and the lenses and all the dolly birds, there's a lot of work there.
Oh, it's all work. It's like a duck, you know. There's the little legs going underwater. All looks very elegant on the top there.
I know that feeling well. I think we'll be like ducks here before long.
Oh, we will, yeah.
Thanks, Howard.
Thanks very much.
So what's the setup? We've got the test equipment here. What actually happens? How does it work?
What we're going to do here is do two things with each of the bikes we have today. We're going to measure the acceleration of the 916 now. Andy will set off from this point and travel to a set of lights set down at the end of the runway there, exactly a quarter of a mile away. He'll be trying to do the fastest speed he can, and we'll take 2 or 3 runs at it and take an average and find out how quickly the bike gets off the line and what sort of terminal speed it's got. Then after we've done that with the Honda as well, we'll take some top speed figures, and we'll start at the end of this runway, which is 2 miles long, get down and break the beam at the other end and simply record the top speed. We expect about 160 mile an hour from each of these bikes, but we won't know until we check, so that's what we do it for.
Okay, and the kit that we've got, the transmitter and receiver down there?
Yeah, I mean, it's all sort of fairly high quality, high spec kit, and it can measure speeds to a tenth of a second, and we rely on it every single time we come here. We've proven it's accurate, and it's the only way to really tell how quickly a bike can go. We obviously can't do this on the road because we'd get nabbed and it's dangerous. Basically what we'll do, we'll get him as forward as possible without breaking the beam, so he's in exactly the right spot. If you just come forward, Andy, a bit more. Yeah. Okay. Now he's ready. It's important for him now to get a good launch from this particular spot and get down the other end as quickly as he can. Yeah, quite an impressive time from Andy there. 11.3 seconds. That's a very good time for this particular bike. I didn't think he was going to go that quickly, actually, because he wheelied away from the line and probably took a bit of time to get himself composed. And he just touched into the rev limiter as well, which cost him a bit of time. But 11.3 seconds to do a quarter mile and 122 mile an hour at the end of it. We'll ask him to do it a couple more times, and then we'll take his best.
Okay. Well, it's now my turn to have a go at this. Never done it before, so we'll give it a crack. But I'm not doing it with the microphone.
Jeff did quite an impressive time on that bike. Good man to get it into the 10s, but 11.4 at 122 was pretty respectable, especially considering he hasn't done it before.
Well, the guy you've been seen cracking down the strip, Andy Ibbott, this is him. On the back of his helmet it says idiot, but I don't think that's really true. It's not true, is it, Andy?
Not at all, it's just a vicious rumour.
Andy, very impressive you're doing these takeoffs. It's a practice start though, isn't it, this?
Yes, it is. What we're going to do now is we're going to do a full-out speed run, whereby I'll do a complete lap of the circuit and start at the end of the 2 mile straight and come through absolutely as fast as I can. Few hazards to watch out for at Bruntingthorpe. Rabbits and birds. They can get in the way and they can cause a lot of damage if you hit them.
Chris, what was that time like that I happened to do then?
Well, I did mention actually as soon as you recorded it that it was pretty good. You were lucky to be on a bike that is quick and easy to launch, but yeah, you were only about half a second behind someone who'd be considered an expert, so yeah, well done.
So not bad for a novice then.
Yeah, indeed, yeah. I mean, you would certainly get faster with more practice, but that's quick enough, isn't it?
Yeah, and it is my bike, so I don't want to burn anything out.
Indeed, yeah.
Now, you've done some blistering speeds elsewhere, as I understand it. What was it?
Yeah, I managed to do 201 miles per hour on Mick Granger's ZZR 1100 Turbo. It's a bike based on yours, but it kicks out significantly more horsepower, 330 brake horsepower at the back tyre.
That's a lot.
Yeah, I mean, the strangest thing was it didn't feel that fast, and the guys who were recording the time ribbed me by saying I'd only done 165, but then when they'd stopped laughing, they admitted that I'd done 201. And it didn't feel that fantastic at the time, but I went home and thought about it, and that is an incredible speed to be doing on a motorbike, you know, twice over 100 mile an hour.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Even more so if you come a tumble.
Yeah.
Who was that?
That was Andy. He's just about to record the top speed here. Yeah, that's about right. 151 for the VTR 1000. Yeah. That's a wee bit slower than the 916 at the moment, but we'll send him round again and see if he can better that.
I noticed at the end there, where the banking is, as I went through the lights, that bank is a bit close.
Yeah, as you'll be able to see any second now, when you're going at the sort of speed that Andy's going now, he does, as he said earlier, have to pay an enormous amount of attention. As soon as he gets through the finishing light, he's got to start considering braking. Bikes that we test can go 30 miles per hour faster than these that we've got today. And if you're not on the ball and you don't start braking the moment you break the beam, you run the risk of going up that bank and getting launched into Leicester.
How was that for you then, Andy?
Cold. An interesting point. One of the reasons that we do the speed testing is the Honda just went through at 168 miles an hour on the speedo, but the reality was a lot less, wasn't it, Chris?
Yeah, only 150. And as Andy said, you know, it's important for us to get the right figures, and it just shows how much the speedo can be sometimes. No, I mean, it's gone to plan really. We need a bit of time to set the gear up and then just do a few runs, take the best or average speed, and then away from here. But don't forget, this test is only a small percentage of what we need to do with the bikes, you know, to convey the impression of riding the thing, you know.
Well, I must say, I mean, it's been good for me to see you guys doing this on the strip, and I think everyone who sort of reads the paper can see the trouble that's gone into it, and so and especially this speedometer indication, then it spoils someone's spiel down the pub, doesn't it, really?
Yeah, definitely. There is barroom figures, shall we say, and then the reality.
Okay, well, thanks very much to the both of you, and I hope everything goes okay on the road as well as it goes on the track and on the test strip here.
Thank you very much.
Cheers, Jeff.